Bleeding heart coward. I changed my opinion on another important issue again, not too very long ago. I think I might be a gutless wonder who would have us cut blindly and run. Flag burning does not upset me as much as I know in my heart that it should. For some shameful reason, gay marriage does not loom large on my radar. I eat a lot of vegetables and fruits, so I probably don't think quite straight. Sipping green tea instead of big gulps has destroyed my masculinity. My hybrid seems real quiet, and I don't even want a hot rod muffler to crank it up. I never even thought of not paying off my credit card bill on time every month. The mere noise of our putative progress perturbs my squishy thinking. I don't even own a single gasoline-powered form of so-called outdoor recreation. I admit I waste my time, space, and energy trying to help out by foolishly recycling. I really haven't searched much at all for my very own personal savior to accept. I want people to be nicer to the cows and pigs, but abortion does not inspire me. I foolishly spend more on food marked organic, whatever that word might mean. I suffer from these fantasies about slashing money from our defense budget. It even seems to me that a tiny hatchback carries groceries more easily than a giant pickup. I often find it difficult to stand by old decisions when I'm faced with newer facts. I just can't escape the delusion that I really don't have any choice in healthcare. I don't celebrate my freedom by blowing up things built just to make a lot of bright noise. I, too, interpret my resigned silence as a sign of contemptibly weak and passive acceptance. I often must suspend belief and cannot make a decision due to lack of certainty. I am too frightened to go and kill civilians or be killed by invisible terrorists. Sometimes I get wishy-washy and confused over which one true God is on whose side. I'm more concerned with clean air and water than the Ten Commandments. My thinking has grown fuzzy from considering too many facts and opinions. I guess I really cannot do the math because I can't ignore so many variables. The pointless carnage makes me ill, but still, I'd like for us to see the dead from both sides. I'm willing to give them birth control rather than building outsourced prisons. I'm not fat or hypertensive, and maybe that's why I don't hate the heathens. I don't happen to believe that a sustainable lifestyle is a threat to my testosterone level. I often try to get out of the way of other drivers who seem to be in a real hurry. I'm happy to put the old and or discontinued back into useful service. I flip-flop among relativistic versions of the everlasting truth. I whimper with trepidation that my beliefs are not handed down from their heaven. I'm afraid to chainsaw the remaining forests and drain off all those unproductive wetlands. I often waste time fretting foolishly about overpopulation and habitat destruction. I fear the smart bullets of the men with laser helmets and heavy combat boots. I'm not sure why, but I think I might have reason to worry over my loss of privacy. Quite often I prefer lentil or pea soup to tortured factory meat. I find it difficult to take on evangelical conviction and hard to believe in official policy. NASCAR, pro football, and Harleys are not among my entertainment favorites. I do not celebrate my newest leased car with overpriced drinks and dinner. I admit that I think it's just wrong to spend more on weapons than all the other countries combined. I'm not looking for a place in any cemetery, much less the honor of Arlington. Suits and ties and project plans and corporate policy seem vainly artificial to me. I'm frightened of drilling out what oil remains before finding any alternatives. I'm too timid and bleeding heart for this shock and awe business of preemptive defense. Non-point pollution sources like huge parking lots are among the silly concerns of mine. I just don't see those great new jobs replacing all the offshored for bonuses positions. I just wonder about kids who do not learn, yet do not have time to be children. I wish I, too, could let go of the boreal toads, spotted owls, and snail darters. I take little pride in our military strength and do not wish to be the world's sheriff. I admire dedicated nurses and firefighters but lack trust for greedy developers and lobbyists. I have a recurring vision of an oncoming dark age, should we even survive our merry way there. I like the stomach for dropping laser-guided bombs on targets I only see on a touchscreen. I am a coward, but I would grab a torch and pitchfork to help hang the lawyers. I'm against twisting and silencing science to suit a profit-driven, donor industry agenda. My regime would not encourage gambling, subsidize tobacco, or promote guzzling gasoline. Foolishly, I worry more about our methods and effects than grabbing all I can, just as fast as I am able. Timidly, from beneath a rock, I squeak weakly at the thunderous passing herd. They laugh at me from their SUVs in my beat-up old Japanese economy car. The clerks shake their heads in disbelief as we reuse tattered cotton grocery bags. I'm afraid to refinance my credit card with the vaporous equity from my home. As they say, my squishy agenda has little benefit but costs lots of jobs and way too much money. The trucks downshift noisily and blow smoke on me as they sneeringly blow by me on my bicycle. Whole families laugh when they make the waves that rock our small canoes. Sadly, it makes no sense to me to drive a 3-ton diesel over to the mall. A small, shrill inner voice keeps telling me that ethanol won't really help us at all. I selfishly fear for my own rights as we deal with those unlawful combatants. Short-sightedly, I detest abandoned mining sites that resemble old war zones. I catch myself chuckling over this whole traditional family values, trademark, ad campaign. Why, I even waste time fretting over disappearing toads and the loss of our songbirds. I foolishly ask, what will Jesus say when we leave behind only debts and destruction? They brush me back with their cars as I wimpily walk alongside their roads. I suffer a delusion that agricultural conglomerates are really not our good stewards. They pity us for cashing in those coupons and then cooking meals at home. I whisper that free enterprise need not just reduce to a greed-centric social Darwinism. I squeak that human numbers far exceed capacity and soon will be corrected naturally. I fear I would lose my mind should I entrust my soul to Jesus. I waste time poring over maps and considering far-off places that I may never visit. Marketeers despise us and quickly write us off in front of their esteemed investors. I have foolishly determined not to pay a penny to any oily funeral parlor director. I talk about my economic betters behind their backs because they do not look me in the eye. Alas, those repeatedly manicured, watered, fertilized, and poisoned lawns seem a silly waste of time to me. I shamefully admit I prefer a short walk rather than a long ride on a noisy ATV. I waste time taking a deep breath with my eyes closed, listening to the gentle rain. I would need powerful drugs to make cookie-cutter convenience stores look like progress. My sandals look weak and stupid, but they keep my feet cool and healthy in the summer. I do not share the hate and fear of those whose lands my fellow citizens cannot locate on a map. Sadly, I won't be charging a facelift, getting Botoxed, or painting over all my gray. Salads and cereals fill my timid stomach just as well as tubed Hamburg and hydrolyzed chips. I suffer a delusion that animals have as many rights and as much of a soul as we the people. We remain at home on weekends as others grimly pursue their angry recreation. I wander the roadless lands that they contend are inaccessible and non-productive. We are the despised deadbeats who pay off their credit cards each and every month. Timidly, I second-guess the policies I quietly did not support in the first place. My whispered mention of the single-payer healthcare option is derided in their scripted debates. The evocative cry of a wild loon means more to me than some wax cell ringtone. Our reality shows involve nature and science and not witless attention seekers. I waste time making my own bread instead of drinking their soul-free corporate beer. Laughably, I even lament the noise of our progress that forces us all to this shouting. Unbelievably, I would actually take the time and effort to bring back the stars in the night sky. Though quite properly ignored, I suggest that our two-party system was not constitutionally enshrined. They quickly warn of jobs and money when I mention the mercury in all of our waters and our children's brains. Childishly, I pray for a certain morality to somehow infuse the enshrined greed that drives us all. I even support global treaties on chemical warfare, landmines, and children's rights that our government rejected. I'm a yellow quitter who have never supported our preemptive defensive wars of liberation. My half-baked ideals blind me to man's real nature and would put good families at grave risk. I quietly mention a flat tax on emissions to the terrible scorn of tougher citizens. I actually care what my direct ancestors, the Europeans, think of us. Now, isn't that a joke? Softly and in Spanish, I say to them, you should learn to speak English if you live in this country. So, as you see, as a true bleeding heart coward, I conspire to a squishy and expensive socialist agenda.